So in order to celebrate Pride Month and the 1 year anniversary of my channel, despite the fact that I've only been uploading a handful of videos and I haven't uploaded since last summer, I am going to hopefully be back to uploading regularly. Fingers crossed. And from now on, they're mostly going to be film-related videos, mainly because that's what I enjoy. And I don't have the time or a working gaming PC to do video game content. Now, on to the video. It was about August, or actually it was about November of 2022 that I was taking a class called Queer Theater and Film with a wonderful theater professor named George Contini. And we had been talking about historical representations of queer people in film and theater. And I remember one day at the end of class, he asked us, everyone in the class, there was about 80 people in the lecture hall, he had asked us, has anyone gone to see the movie Bros? Written and produced by Billy Eichner and released by Universal. Nobody raised their hand. Nobody in my class had seen it. And nobody in any of my other classes had seen it. Except me. Because I'm a nerd, I'm a huge movie nerd, and I thought this movie was going to be terrible. And it was. It's not a good movie. And I'm going to explain why.
Sir, are you homophobic or will you be seeing Bros?
Neither.
Why?
Just taking a walk.
Why won't you see Bros? Why don't you go take a walk to the movie theater and see Bros?
Sounds awesome. I'll see you on TikTok.
No, not TikTok! I'm in theaters now!
Part one, we're going to be talking about the marketing. The marketing was heavy on targeting Gen Z, and that usually is a very good strategy for queer films because older generations aren't going to come out and see this movie, so they hit hard on the Gen Z demographic. But there's a couple issues here. Number one, nobody knows how to market to Gen Z. Nobody. Because marketing to Gen Z does not work. Because we have been faced with advertisements everywhere for the entirety of our childhoods, young adult years, and currently coming into our adult years. We are inundated with ads. So it takes a very creative, very effortful, very rigorous ad campaign to get to us. But then problem number two comes up. Advertising to Gen Z only works if it's a quality product. And now I know what you're saying. What about all of the Instagram ads that have really shitty products, but they still show up in Instagram feeds, which means people are buying them? Now, that usually works when it's a one-off gimmicky gadget, not when it comes to a movie. When it comes to a movie, we have to see clips of the movie in order for it to be advertised to us. That's how trailers work. And from the trailers, every single person in my generation realized that this movie was not for us. This movie simultaneously targeted Gen Z, which is the queerest generation to, well, the most openly queer generation to exist, while also making a movie for millennial straight women who don't really give a shit about this movie. The tone of the movie is not for Gen Z, because they go to, in the movie, during the Christmas season, they go to the Hallmark exhibit in New York. Gen Z doesn't give a shit about Hallmark. You know who does? 40-year-old wine moms who watch shitty Hallmark movies to make them feel better about themselves. Which is why they did that, which is why they went over to the Hallmark exhibit. They didn't do that because Gen Z doesn't give a shit about that. Meanwhile, they're advertising to Gen Z. And when the movie was coming out, I had been seeing all of these ads so much, all of the ads for Bros so much, that it didn't faze me anymore. Which is why nobody went to see it. Which is why nobody in my generation went to see it, because in that same weekend, there were a million better movies to go watch, Or you could watch Bros like I did, and I hated it, but I loved making fun of it, which is why I'm making this video. So the marketing was not for gay people. The marketing was not for Gen Z. The marketing was for straight people. Which brings us to part 2.
Sir, are you homophobic?
Billy Eichner. Billy Eichner is a comedian who is most famous for his high camp, his high camp comedy, so to speak. Personally, I love his comedy. I love the Billy on the Street segments. I love when he was on Conan and he showed Conan Grinder. That is one of the best skits that Conan has ever done, and it's partly because Billy is just so over the top that he out-crazies Conan. Billy does not play that character in this movie. Billy does not play the character that made him famous, which is a bad idea. Is a very bad idea, because number one, it's reinventing the wheel. Number two, half the people who would go see this movie hate that comedy, hate that character, hate Billy Eichner because of his character. And a lot of people, like myself, went out to go see this movie in order to laugh. Billy Eichner's not funny.
Sir, are you homophobic or will you be seeing Bros?
Neither.
Why?
He's not. He doesn't know how to write a joke. But because Billy has no clue what he's doing when he's writing jokes, he doesn't realize that in order for us to laugh, it has to be over the top. The reason the people who like Billy Eichner went to see this movie is to see Billy Eichner's character. They didn't go to see the character that we got in the film. Which brings us to Billy Eichner's post-movie behavior. In the opening weekend, which is where movies make their most money, and the opening weekend for this movie did not do well. The opening weekend was awful for this film, because the marketing was all over the place. It was half-assing 2 different audiences, and neither of them went to go see this movie. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2. When people don't go see your movie, you know what is the one big thing you should never do? Blame the audience for not going to see your movie. Billy Eichner made this movie for straight people. This is a straight people rom-com, but with 2 gay characters plastered over it. That's all this movie is. And that's why Universal picked it up. Because if it were it's gay, but it's palatably gay. One big thing that a lot of the positive reviews for this movie, there aren't many, but there are a few. One of the big notes that this movie gets in the positive column is that it's unapologetically gay. Which, I have a problem with that. Number 1, it is kind of apologetically gay. It is. Because you have the dinner conversation between Billy Eichner and Muscle Boyfriend's mother. I don't give a shit about the character names because they are one-dimensional as hell. Trust me, I'll get into that. Where you have Billy Eichner just being an absolute prick to the mom, not knowing that this is not a battle he should be fighting. And that develops into a plot point that almost makes the relationship break. But that's not how it comes off in the movie. It comes off as Billy Eichner being an asshole to the mom, which is awful, to say the least, and it is not funny. It's not relatable. It's not anything a rom-com should be. You shouldn't be a prick to the other guy's mother-in-law in a romantic comedy when you're the protagonist. That is not what you should be doing. Not at all. And that's what Billy Eichner did. That's what he decided he was going to do. So when he wonders why nobody liked his movie, he needs to understand that the problem lies with him. When you go on Twitter and rant about how straight people didn't go see your movie because they're all homophobic, That's no. That's not how you advertise a movie. You don't guilt people into watching a movie, especially a rom-com. Rom-coms should be light and fun. Rom-coms should be something you can go and turn your brain off for an hour and a half. That's not the movie we got. Now getting into the actual movie. The movie itself is not good in the slightest. It's awful. And it mainly lies in the character of Billy Eichner. Billy Eichner wrote, starred, and produced this film, which, yeah, that you can definitely tell that, because I don't think anybody ever told Billy Eichner, hey, your character is an asshole. And if we're watching your character be an asshole for an hour and a half, nobody's going to see your movie. It's awful. It's okay. I was rooting for the muscled up guy who is the love interest for Billy Eichner to dump Billy Eichner, because Billy Eichner is an asshole throughout this entire film. His attitude is repulsive. His tone is aggressive at all times. He is a genuinely unpleasant person to be around every single date they have. He is not a fun person to be around. And this film does nothing but show that. It just shows that this is a relationship that is going to be doomed to fail. This is not how you write a rom-com, Billy. This is how you write a toxic relationship movie. And wow, I am sweating like a fucking pig. Good Lord, see what you're doing to me, Billy? See what you're doing? I'm just kidding. But when you have a character that is so unlikable as Billy Eichner's character in this film, it's not fun. It's not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch this relationship grow, because the relationship doesn't grow. They seem to hate each other in every single interaction that they have, which it does not make for a good rom-com. And another part of it is that it focuses... Okay, there are a lot of sex scenes in this movie. And Billy Eichner tries to make these sex scenes funny. No. No, because a sex scene portrays one particular emotion: lust or love. Throwing comedy into that is not gonna make for a pleasant viewing experience. It just makes things very fucking awkward. And you know what else it does? It also alienates straight people who may be uncomfortable with gay sex. Didn't you think about that? Didn't anybody think about that? And making them laugh during it isn't going to be fun. And you can't make them laugh during that, because number one, the comedy in the sex scenes is not funny. Now, I'm not saying that all sex scenes can't be funny. The ones in here aren't. They're just awkward. They're awkwardly shot. They switched from a handheld camera into the sex scenes from a static camera prior to and after the sex scenes. So it's jarring, it's awkward, it's not fun to watch, it's not sexy, because Billy Eichner has a fucking carpet on his goddamn chest. Jesus Christ. It's just, holy hell. And there is very little about this movie that I actually enjoyed. There were a few things. Number one, the muscled up boyfriend's performance was fantastic. He played the very masculine gay guy very well. But there was no chemistry with him and Eichner. Because, again, Eichner's character is a total fucking asshole in this movie. There's not a way around that. He's just an asshole. And, frankly, there's nothing that this film can do that can get around that. Billy Eichner's character is a piece of shit, and we're supposed to be rooting for him. The reason we're supposed to be rooting for him is because he cares very passionately about queer history and he's unapologetically gay. But he's a total fucking asshole to everyone not named Billy Eichner's character. It is so sad to see. you can see the muscled up boyfriend try and become friends with Billy and try to get a spark with Billy, but Billy's just a total fucking asshole. Which is not something you should be in a romantic comedy. A romantic comedy should be light and not spiteful. It's insane. By the end of the first reel, I was texting my boyfriend just how bad this movie is, and I was explaining in detail how this movie could have been funny. It's not, and frankly, I don't look forward to seeing any other Billy Eichner movies in the future, mainly because it's just sad to see Billy Eichner just throw away his entire goodwill with the mass audience by blaming the mass audience for not wanting to go see his movie, instead of actually introspecting upon himself to wonder why nobody went to see his movie and why it was such a colossal, monstrous failure at the box office. And the worst part about it is that Bros is the first gay movie distributed by a major distribution company. And all the other distribution companies saw that a gay movie didn't do well at the box office. What they didn't see is that a bad gay movie didn't do well at the box office. So now, because of this stupid, shitty fucking movie, every other distribution studio is going to think twice before they produce another gay movie. So, a big round of applause for Billy Eichner fucking over every other gay screenwriter like myself. But, yeah, that wraps up my thoughts. Thank you for listening to my rant, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.